Hello, hello, welcome on into another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders. Today we are on a crusade to Lone Elm Distilling. We are here with Brandon and Bill from Lone Elm talking about their straight wheat whiskey made here in the DFW area. Brandon, Bill, why don't you tell us a little bit about your product before we go take a tour of the place?
We came back from a trip to the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky in 2011, and we were up at the lake partying, me and my college buds, and we said, well, we can make better whiskey than this. So one of them slapped a check on the table, and we started Lone Elm. I have a clear preference to wheat. Two reasons. A, we grow wheat here, we don't grow corn, and so it's the local product, right? Grown here in Kaufman County. So a lot of hay, a lot of wheat. So that's the natural ingredient that we can get here locally. So everything's sourced local. And I like wheated bourbon, so we went straight wheat whiskey. Of course, we have to use small amount of malted barley or malted wheat for the enzymes. So we built the place in 2012. Started our first batch in 2013. Won the Chairman's Trophy for the best whiskey in America in 2015, which was a 2-year aged whiskey. Now, when I say 2-year aged, we aged that in small barrels in a hot Texas container. So every 10 degrees C is about 130 C average in that container. So every 10 degrees C, the reaction rate doubles. So the whiskey ages much faster. So Scotland's cold, long time. Kentucky's 3 times faster, maybe 2 or 3 times faster than Scotland on average temp. And then we're about another 2 times faster than Kentucky with our average temps here. And especially if you put it in small barrels, of course you get that quick vanilla oak extraction, and then those secondary and tertiary reactions can kick in. And so it happens much quicker. Of course, what you'll be tasting today is probably 5-year from those same small barrels. So we did small barrels, and we continue to age those small barrels.
You say small barrels, what size?
15 gallon.
Okay. Well, not like 5s.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
15 gallon. It's diminishing returns, right? The smaller the barrel, the larger the angel share. So that, when we right now the 15s we're pulling are less than 50% full.
The Angels are thirsty.
The angels are seriously thirsty in Texas.
Wow.
But we started off with 15s, which is hard to get 53s.
It's hard to get 53s. A small distillery couldn't get them, but it kind of helped us to get to the product we wanted faster. We used 1, 2s, and 5s to get initially to be where we wanted to be.
Do you think as you grow, you might move up to a bigger barrel?
We're in 53 now.
You are?
We
Okay.
have a supply now from ISC.
I saw those in there.
up in
Touring
that
around.
Ozarks.
We moved from 15s to 30s, and then 30s, we went to 53s. So
Excellent.
So you got more liquid in there, the surface area, it takes longer to age, but
Right.
and the angel share is lower to 53.
You were saying earlier that you're using a mash bill that's predominantly wheat or all wheat.
Yeah,
including
90%
malted.
wheat. And
So you're using
10%
sometimes
malted
malted barley, sometimes malted wheat, or
Our standard products you drink today are 10% malted barley.
Okay.
We
And
can
what type
get
of
malted
barley are
wheat
you
now
using?
though to do 100%, but we haven't commercialized that product.
Nice. What type of malted barley are you using?
We're using it's a 2-row
Okay.
distillers, so it's extra. It's higher enzymatic power, so it has diastolic power, so it's higher. It's for distilling, not for
Right.
making beer.
Yeah.
When we make barley whiskey here, we probably use we do a single malt or a single whatever. We make chocolate, caramel whiskey with barley. And today's rye, we're making rye today, so y'all taste the rye whiskey today. So it's 60% rye, 30% wheat, 10% malted barley.
Nice.
And that will be our
Fun.
next commercial product. So you get a taste. It's the second batch today.
we've got people barking at the doors for the rye.
Yeah, that's cool. I never had a mash bill like that on my rye. It's
No.
very interesting.
Not
Yeah.
rye wheat. That sounds fun.
No,
That
yeah.
sounds awesome.
It doesn't pump well. The bad news is rye is very viscous. So is wheat. So it doesn't pump very well. So we have to do some special things to get that through the system. But
Gotcha.
that's a bit of problematic. So we started out here. We made the vodka. Now we make straight wheat vodka. So it'd be like Kettle One, Grey Goose, but we leave a little bit of taste in ours because we're whiskey drinkers. We don't make a clean vodka. We don't make, an NGS kind of vodka that a lot of people are used to. Then we make the small batch 90 proof, which is chill haze filtered. So like a standard whiskey product, right? It's 90 proof. We chill haze filter it, take out some of the heavier alcohols, and we clean it up so it doesn't haze up when you put it in a glass or make a mix out of it or something. And then of course we do our single barrel, which is barrels I pick out barrels to make the small batch, and the barrels I really like become single barrel. And then we hand bottle those and hand label, so it's quite labor intensive, but it's worth it. And that's our most popular product.
There's a lot of really good barrels that his palate doesn't see that go into our small batch. I mean, he's an older fella, you know, so like,
There's got to be some good whiskey, small batch.
oh yeah. I mean, small batch is just, you know, a bunch of single barrels.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
How many barrels normally go into your small batch?
We do a 250 gallon small batch runs.
Okay.
250 gallon, so that's what our chiller is. So it's 250 gallons. So we pull down a bunch of barrels. We start dumping. We like one. We set it aside. We really like it, right? We set it aside. That's single barrel, and then the rest I kind of blend to keep some consistency, but not too much. We're craft. We don't.
I was gonna say, are you trying to keep a consistency?
I'm trying to keep
between
some
small batch?
consistency, but
You understand that it's going to
the
change.
small batches are pretty unique.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we're okay with that.
yeah.
You know, we're not.
I was gonna say this is a true small batch. No,
Right.
Yeah, it's not a
small batch.
Yeah,
Right.
small batch.
2,000 barrels.
Yeah.
So there'll be batches out there that are a little hotter, you know, a little mellower, whatever, right? And so I blend those to make this. So I don't just put something that's really sharp or something that's really mild I kind of mix them a little bit. But every batch is unique for sure.
How many batches have you guys made so far, approximately?
We've dumped about I don't know, 2 or 3 years worth. So yeah. So we started, you know, small dumps in 2015 when we first came out with it, but we're increasing the dumps. So we've got about 1,000 barrels now in storage.
So is there a meaning behind the name Lone Elm?
Lone Elm was the original name of this area. And the original settlement was right here on this place. It was called Union Hills. A woman and 4 sons from Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
There used to be a little Lone Elm school right over here, and so that's kind of the original place here.
Nice.
It's called Lone Elm. They renamed it for the railroad guy, so they'd run the railroad through the town.
Nice. I like that.
At least that's what it says on the website.
Also,
But we have confirmed there are people who went to the Lone Elm school that live right over
It
here.
was here.
Yeah, when it was here.
when you release your single barrels, what do you proof them to?
They come out at barrel proof, so it depends on how long they've been aging and what temperature they were aged at.
So you don't actually
Yeah.
proof down.
We do
all-
not
No.
proof at all. It comes right out of the barrel. So it's barrel proof, single barrel.
So we get like anywhere from like 104 to like 125 proof.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is those higher proofs. Like we won gold in San Francisco and Denver this year with the higher proof. Like we sit in a 120, but those 120s through like 125. I mean, they sound high, but they're incredibly smooth.
I was just going to say that we have found that in single barrels, you can get some really high proof stuff that doesn't taste nearly as hot as it seems like it's going to on the label.
Wheat helps how we distill in the wheat, and also, you know, that on the back of your palate, you know, that sharp's on the front, but on the back of your palate, the heavier alcohols that are in this will smooth that out
Yeah.
and add that taste. Give you a smooth taste on the back side of your tongue.
What's 5 Points mean anyway? Since that's
5 Points was me and the 4 college buds who were drinking and lying and went to Kentucky and said I can make a better whiskey, and my roommate went, "There's a check, let's do it." So we all put in a check and we did it, and that's how it started. It was just, we were having fun at the lake, lying and drinking. We've gone to Kentucky, right, and done a bunch of tours, and met some of the master distillers and gathered up all the best booze we could gather, and we're drinking it at the lake. And I said, I think I could do better than this.
He gets really confident when he drinks whiskey. Yeah, really confident.
I think a lot of people
Lovely.
do.
Yeah,
That's,
so I was feeling it, and he called my bluff, and I said, okay, we'll do it. So we started, we built this place ourselves.
It
We
used
did,
to be like
all
a
the
horse barn.
facilitation, the building, except for the fire. We can't do fire, it's against the law. We've done that too. So we're a bunch of engineers, scientists, so we did everything ourselves. This was an old horse barn here.
We haven't gone over there yet, but once we get there, did you put your stills together yourself?
Yeah, we put them together, so we didn't build them though.
Yeah.
We bought them from Vendome. I
Yeah.
mean, they're like the Harley of pot stills, you know, those guys have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Most of those big pot stills you'll see are doublers in the big factories now. You know, they use steam to strip now, you know, because they're continuous. But we're definitely small batch. We're 500 gallon
Pot
mash.
still.
Yeah, 500 gallon pot still, mash it completely. See how, so the copper came from Germany, and
Double distilled?
huh?
Double distilled?
We triple distill,
Okay.
Okay.
but we do all that in one run. We do a very slow multi tray with a cold trap that refluxes. So it's I would call it if you did a standard single pot still, it'd probably be triple distilled.
Okay.
But we do that very slow. Each distillation's 12 hours.
Wow.
So we go super slow and get the taste profile we want. So it's very clean.
So it's not mechanical, y'all are tasting.
No, we
constantly
actually
and
taste
cutting
it.
where you
No,
need to
taste
cut.
every batch and make the heads, tails, and hearts. Make the cuts, right? So we do, yeah. And we're grain in, so we keep the grain through the process the whole way, which makes our batches even smaller. They're really
Right.
330 liquid gallons.
Yeah, 'cause
And
you're
500
still-
with 500 gallon volume with the grain.
Yeah.
So we grain in. The good thing about that is we're in a kind of a rural area, so that keeps the waste stream all the way through the system. So then that goes straight to the cows. So the spent mash, spent beer goes to the cows. And if there was a German in the room, he'd beat me for saying beer. The guy at Franconia did beat me. I said, when we first started up, we went to meetings, he said, yeah, we're making some beer. He goes, no, you're not making beer, you're making mash. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah. He's like serious about it. Sometimes we do use beer kind of
Oh, yeah.
stuff, but to make some whiskeys that are not available yet. But mostly we make mash, and so we grain that in, and that the cool thing about that is it passes through for us because we have no way to treat the waste out here. And the other thing is it cleans the copper each time, so you have fresh copper after each run, and then of course you don't want to make ethyl carbamate, which is a carcinogen, and that's why I use copper pot stills. So we always have a fresh pot. We don't have to clean our pot still ever
It's like self-cleaning.
because it's self-cleaning with the grain in. If you don't, then you got to come back with base and acid and refresh the copper
Right.
to make sure that you don't make any products you don't want to make. So that's how we started, I think. What else did we do?
You think?
Yeah, I'm pretty
I
sure.
think that's where we started.
I think that's how we did it. We've been drinking since we started. I'm not sure anymore.
The water source we use is, collected rainwater, straight from the sky. It's we UV protected, RO treated. So
Yeah, these
So
big black
basically
tanks
they-
you saw all around here, those are our rainwater collection tanks. We have 56,000 gallons of water we use off the buildings.
Excellent.
And,
so today's a
we
good
also-
day for you.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we also use that for backup fire water because there's not a lot of, the water pressure's pretty decent, but the flow, a little iffy out here, so we put all those tanks in so those will automatically switch on in case of a fire.
And he has that downward
Yeah,
pressure.
yeah. So that gives us a lot of fire because we're in the middle of nowhere, right?
Right.
By the time somebody's going to get to you.
Yeah, we don't want that whiskey on fire.
Yeah.
As you well know, when it's on fire, it's over.
Yeah.
If you don't get it immediately, it's over.
Yeah.
And that's happened to even the big boys in the last
Jim
few
Beam
years.
might have something to say.
Yeah, Jim Beam, Wild Turkey, a whole bunch of distilleries. There's a lot of whiskey going down the fire drain.
The only thing you can do is learn from their mistakes.
17.
Yeah, exactly. We want to learn early.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of fire protection here. So that's good because we're out in the middle of nowhere. So we have to pretty much be on our own initially. We have our own blended yeast, special just for us. We do it ourselves. We don't propagate it ourselves. We just,
You have somebody that's propagating your yeast.
yeah, we don't do it ourselves.
Okay.
We're not clean enough to do that here. We just don't have the laboratory facilities.
Right.
I know TX is using TCU and stuff like that. We haven't done that yet. Use the university. Okay, so we use locally grown soft red winter wheat grown right here on the East Fork of the Trinity River. And we grain in all the way through the process. So we transfer to the still here. So this is a Vendome brass and copper works hot still, German copper. We do 500 gallon batches. This is all, this is steam jacket down here. And we use the onion for extra copper surface area. Right as it drops the pressure, gives us extra copper. Then we have four trays. 1, 2, 3, 4. So with bubble caps, right? It's a standard tray with bubble caps. Basically 4 distillations occurring there. At the top we use a cold trap or a deflator. So we really hard push on the deflator to get reflux. So we push down. Each tray drops down 2 trays below. So each tray drops down 2 below. So you come up, it condenses on the window of the onion, and then it goes up each tray and overcomes the temperature, right? And so, but the deflator really pushes it down, gets a really good separation, and we get pretty good. I would call this 4 times distilled out of a single run. We do a 12-hour distillation for every 500-gallon batch run. Long, slow distillation, and that way we can make really fine heads, hearts, and tails cuts and get exactly at the end what we want, as opposed to fast stripping, coming back, redistilling again and again. So we just do it once. We're small enough, craft enough, and we want to have that control. We taste and sample all the cuts, right? So basically, we've got 4 trays, the deflator, and then a tube and shell condenser, right? That's basically a cold trap that pulls it across. It condenses into the gin basket over there, in case you're wondering what the stainless is. So on the gin, of course, you want to reflux. You can just do gin in a tank, but it's better to reflux the botanicals. Then we come in a 3-bay receiver tank. So this is basically the parrot. Whiskey comes up and out. You can measure the temperature and the proof here. And of course, you can sample here. It's nice to sample here. It has a pretty small volume on the inside. It's easy to clear. So then you just do methanol, ethanol, and propanol, butanol. Basically, methanol solvent, very solventy taste. Ethanol turns sweet, we make the cut. And then isopropyl and butanol, they're basically lighter fluid. There we use that to start charcoal grills. We use the methanol for cleaning. Pretty much what we do. We don't make so much. We don't redistill that since we make such fine cuts. There's very little ethanol in our cuts. So we don't bother to redistill. We just use it for other things. So it's 25 gallons here, 25 gallons here, and 150 here for the 200-gallon receiver tank. So that's basically, you get kind of a feel for how much heads and hearts. So it's about 40 pounds of heads and 40 pounds of tails. And we get about 43 proof gallons, I believe, from each distillation, roughly. Which then we dilute down to 120, 125 and put in the barrel. Now we use the rainwater for all dilutions, and we use, for the mash water, however, we use the local water. It's calcium rich, the yeast like it. So we use the local water for calcium rich for the yeast. But we use the rainwater for the final dilution, which gives us a nice, better taste. And it's a little more environmentally friendly. That's how that works. All right, so for vodka, we do it a little different here. We do a little more what I would call a Russian vodka or whatever. We're whiskey drinkers. We like taste. So our vodka is a little different than an NGS vodka or whatever. But we do about 170, 180. We can get about 180 off that still. And then we come into this. This is a packed column, stainless mesh packed column still. Since we've already made sure we catalyze the reactions, we don't have ethyl carbamate over there, then we can come straight stainless. So we drop the vodka in here at about somewhere between 170, 180, and then comes out 192 and a half here. So that's theoretical proof for the water ethanol azeotrope, right? You can't separate it anymore without adding some kind of organic solvent. So 192 and a half is all you can do, so that's basically NGS or PGS, or pure grain alcohol, whatever you want to call it. So then we pull it off here, we dilute back with that rainwater, and serve it. So it's kind of the flavor is in our mash bill and our yeast selection for that. Even though we highly distill it, we leave a little bit of flavor. So it's just a choice, right? We only do one pass through here. So that column's tall enough to bring it out.
How tall is that column?
18 feet.
Do they have names?
No, we've never named the stills. I hadn't thought about it. We've never named them.
That's a good time.
No, we didn't think of a name, yeah. But that's got we run a deflator system here too to make sure we reflux here. So
How many gallons can that still?
this is 250, yeah. So you get about 50 proof gallons per run, right? So you can kind of figure out how many runs you need to start off. What's left here when we do distilling goes back into a run, goes back into our system. Still good, some good stuff in here. So we do a week very slow, long fermentation, and that's one of the keys to our product. 3 days, goes anaerobic, and then as soon as it falls, it's ready to distill. And so we keep these we use cold jackets here. And we keep this cold. That gives us a very clean, nice profile. If you take this temperature off and go hot, you get a lot of flavor profile you don't want. But don't tell anybody.
So what type of barrels do you use?
Okay, so in 2012 we couldn't get barrels. We first started, we couldn't get barrels. So we bought a truckload of wood from Northwest Arkansas from a friend of mine who has a sawmill. So we actually made our first barrels. We used we bought the wood because we couldn't buy barrels, and we used the cooperage, Gibbs cooperage in Hot Springs National Park, Arkansas. They made us these 15-gallon barrels that you see here. So those we bought the wood and had them made. Wow. We bought a whole truckload of semi-load of 2-year age. Now the bad news about these 15s, of course, 15 you get higher oak, higher vanilla, ages faster. Of course, the Angels drink more. The surface area of the barrel liquid's better, but they cost exactly the same amount as this barrel. So the same stave was used to make a 15, it makes a 53. So it's exactly the same cost. It's $200 over here and $200 over here.
Yikes.
So these are ISC from the cooperage in Missouri. So we're in the queue now, so we can use the 53-gallon barrels. And of course, we'll get less loss in these, but of course, now we got to sit back. We figure it'd take about 6 years in these to get equivalent Kentucky 8, the Weller's makers kind of 8.
What char level do you use?
Char level we use it's right between 3 and a 4. So it's sap clear char, but 3 and a 4. So, and these are all select barrels. We don't buy anything under 2 years. There's such a run on oak now. You'll see a lot of people using 12-month or 18 month. It's too sappy, right? So you really need the 2-year-old barrel.
So is that what you attribute the pine note, the sappy note to?
Yes, absolutely.
It's the barrels, right?
It's the barrels, absolutely.
Okay. That's what we have been saying.
Yeah.
It's the kiln dried. It's the trying to do it too fast.
Yep.
Okay.
You got it.
Again,
Yep.
slow is
So these are all air dried completely?
Yes, completely air dried. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get that taste.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between air and kiln.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's made a huge run on the barrels, and that's created a lot of problems for the industry, right? Of course, the big guys are in line first. We get whatever's left over, right? But now we've been buying from them. We get a steady stream now. Not the day we want them, right? We have to plan, but we get in the queue. They let us in the queue, right? When we started, we couldn't even get in the queue at ISC. And I'm from Northwest Arkansas, so I like those American White Oak from Northwest Arkansas. So I'm from a hillbilly from the Ozarks. But I went to school at Texas A&M, so I'm an Aggie-Arkie, so that's a real weird mix.
How many can this hold when it's full?
Huh?
How many barrels can it hold when it's full?
Right now we have 1,000 in here of all the barrels. So that's our 2014 whiskey right there. That's our 2016 whiskey production right there.
This is 2013 and 2014 on here.
So we're just doing the Scotland style stacking there, right?
Easy, strange barrels.
No, I mean, the only thing that I'll find out there is every once in a while I'll come across a Phantom barrel that has practically nothing in it, but you can still squeeze like 2 to 4 bottles out of it.
Wow.
Now that's the barrel pick.
We had one of those barrels and we got 4 bottles out of it, and it came to 137 proof. You could not even see through the bottles. You could hold it up to the sun, you still couldn't see through it. So I called it mud, and I took it to the Houston Whiskey Social this year, and man, I had like, Wade Woodard, Christopher Hart, just like, like everybody there is like, hey, can I get some of that mud? I'm like, who told you that I got this over here? Like But it spread around, like the whole place was just like, anybody that's in the community with whiskey and bourbon was over there just like, our juice is so palatable, just lasts on your palate forever. I mean, it's like 5 or 6 years old hooch. You know, it stays there for a long time. But I mean, I don't knock anybody else's stuff, but you know, when you taste something that's palatable, it just lasts. You know, when you taste a really good wine, and then you try to move to a different varietal, and you still got that flavor in your going on. Same thing. And something else that I don't know if y'all know this about. I'm sure you do, but the difference that I feel like Texas and Kentucky and Tennessee have is like in Texas, I feel like you can taste the terroir here, and all the stuff that we're doing. I don't know. That's why it's like it's so fun to be in this community and just like to know the people that are this passionate about it and making this stuff and just being a part of it. It's really cool, man. So I'm going to take you guys on Barrel 345 first.
I agree with what you're saying. Even if you know my mash bill, even if you know where I'm getting my grains from, there's still going to be a difference. There's still going to be. So why not share? Why not?
Exactly. Here's the thing, like most everybody that's doing this grain to glass, like Garrison or like Iron Root or us is like we're getting our grains right around like within a 30-mile radius.
Right.
So I mean, to me that's unique. And what's also really cool is like these malt houses like Maverick and Tex Malt. These are they're associates of our Texas Whiskey Association, which is really neat because they're putting out some amazing product as well. Expensive, but won't be for long. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I get it all? Just make sure we got good taste in there. Don't be shy. Right.
Don't glass over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this barrel 345. I believe it's 2013.
Yeah, you didn't carry a beef around. There you go. Because there's always random barrels.
You never know when you're going to need it, okay?
Those things are pretty expensive, man.
Just get the thing Robert uses. I like that thing. What's that one that Robert uses? I can't remember the chain that he pulls.
Oh, the chain with the.
What does he use?
I really like that 62.
It's something French, of course.
Of course it is. You twist it enough, so you get like
grip.
yeah, and then you go, and it just comes out.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
I gotta even drill for the other one, so for a little bit. You're not gonna mess it up. Besides, I got more bungs. All of those.
Good for the whiskey of women.
See if I'm strong enough.
Yeah. That was great.
Go down there.
Do it real fast. Yeah.
All right.
Smell it.
That's what's up right here. You know what I mean?
Smell
I like
it.
the color on that.
Good.